Hi, welcome to this episode of Industry Voice. Today I have Nick Hoadley on my podcast. How are you, Nick?
I'm really good, Jeff. Great to see you. Good to reverse the roles on this podcast today.
Yeah. So, audience, those of you who don't know, Nick has his own podcast, a very successful podcast. And was it 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I was on your platform?
Yeah,
Something like
about
that,
three
right?
years ago, I think. 3 years ago, we were doing an
Yeah.
Insurtech series. You were one of our guests.
So now we get to reverse the role and interview Nick. This is
Looking
exciting.
forward to it.
All right, Nick. So I'm gonna have you start off. You're no stranger to this. Start off in telling our audience about yourself and what got you into insurance and your insurance journey, and what ultimately led to you having your own platform, your own community, and your own audience.
Okay. Well, I'll start right back at the beginning. I suppose that's the best place to start. So I was working as a lawyer, as a solicitor, as we would say in England, in the UK. Working my way up, and I was working for an insurance law firm. And it was during this time that I was actually told by my manager and by colleagues that they didn't think that I actually wanted to be a lawyer. They didn't think I actually wanted to have a career in the legal world, which was a massive shock to me because I'd spent best part of 10 years training and trying to climb the ladder in the corporate legal world. During this time, though, I was working very closely with brokers and I got an opportunity to join a brokerage. I thought actually insurance brokers look like they have a lot more fun. It looks like there's a lot more client involvement. It's very much a meritocracy, so you can do really well at a young age and you can progress really quickly. And what I found with the law is that actually it was all about how much time you were billing the client and how many years experience you had rather than what you're actually achieving. So I made that move into the insurance industry. I worked in broking here in the UK, worked at a really good firm, which was then acquired by a larger organization. And it was during that time that I was involved in some of the recruiting side of things. So I was working with um, recruitment agencies, executive search partners to try and find talent and try and bring them into our organization. Now, we really struggled with that. We really struggled to find a good partner who could consistently deliver us high quality candidates. So actually, the business itself looked at acquisitions as a way of growth rather than organic growth, and it really had a big impact on us. And it got to a point where I actually thought, I think I could do this. I could provide a really good quality service. I've sat in the client's positions. I know a lot of brokers. I know a lot of underwriters. I could do this myself. So 8 years ago, I founded and launched Insurance Search. And Insurance Search is a recruitment executive search consultancy for the insurance industry, insurtechs, and we operate here in the UK, right across the United States, and also in Bermuda as well. So that's the journey. It's been a great ride, but for the last 8 years, we've been really honing our skills, working with clients, brokerages, carriers, mutuals, and then some of the very latest in the cutting edge technology. And yeah, really enjoying the ride so far.
What give you the ideas? You know what? I got build my own podcast, my own community. How did that idea kick in? And then tell us the name, Insurance Coffeehouse Podcast.
Got my coffee right here. Um, yeah, so I don't know if you remember back in 2020, we had this thing called the pandemic, and we were all locked down. It actually had a massive impact on the recruiting and executive search market. So a lot of our clients paused recruiting, a lot of our clients cancelled assignments that we were working on. And we were looking to recruit and grow as a business ourselves. So really took time to really just pause and reflect and see what we could do to add value to our clients and also to our candidates. So we launched the Insurance Coffeehouse Podcast. It's a insurance leadership career development podcast. And the plan was really to give advice, feedback to aspiring C-suite leaders, to aspiring insurtech founders on how to be successful and how to make it to the top. The first series was a great series. It was everybody was at home. We managed to get hold of a lot of CEOs and execs of some of the largest insurance companies in the world. We used our client list. We used people that we knew in the industry, and we got a really great guest list of guests for our audience. And really, what they were doing was talking about their careers, how they made it into the C-suite, how they'd been successful, and what advice they had for those aspiring leaders. And it really went from there. We took it a step further, and a lot of companies started approaching us and saying, actually, we would like to feature on your show, talk about our brand from a talent perspective, how we can engage, how we can attract, how we can recruit more talent to our business. And so the podcast over that time has evolved quite significantly. So we had a US mid-market series. That was series 2, where we realized, mid-market US is a lot different to global corporate in Europe, and there's different ways of climbing the ladder. And then we had our Insurtech series. So really working with Insurtech leaders, talking about the opportunities with Insurtech, what to look out for if you're an insurance exec, thinking about making that move. Maybe you've been at a big corporate like an AIG or a Travelers or a Zurich, and you might be joining a 10-man startup, what the opportunities are there, but also, what you should be looking out for and really making sure it's the right fit for you. Our current series is a HR series, so working with people leaders, finding out from them, how they're building culture in their organizations, and why it's a great place to work, and really giving them the opportunity to tell their story.
Your podcast has 25,000 listeners, and you have 4 seasons so far. What's the theme of each season?
Yeah, so the first season we just kicked off with, it was a global insurance season. So yeah, just any, highly successful insurance executive, really find out what made them successful, what made them tick, and what advice they had. Yeah, we took that forward. I said US mid-market, so that was great. So we worked with a lot of brokerages in the mid-market, very different landscape to building your career at a smaller business, a lot more entrepreneurial. And then we got a real spike, actually, Jeff, in our audience numbers. Just after we interviewed you on the InsurTech series, our numbers just really, really shot up, I think, by having you on the podcast. So
Wait, hold on. So I'm getting some credit on this podcast?
yeah, I think so. I think so. I think we
Nice.
had you. We had some great guests around that time, and InsurTech's just such a it's just so much opportunity. And I think over the years that we've been doing it, I think insurance and InsurTech are just getting closer and closer together, and there's so much more interest on both sides. Um, the next series actually we've got is a Bermuda series, so it's a bit more niche, but we're doing a spotlight on Bermuda. We've got a practice out in Bermuda, and we're talking about what the opportunities are for people to relocate to Bermuda, work out there. But again, what insights, what challenges are, what they should be looking out for if they are thinking about making that move.
Now I have questions now. You 4 seasons, right? So who are your top 4 guests that is memorable for you? And then after you got off the podcast, you're like, whoa. Thank you for all your support to our channel. Here is a quick word from our sponsor. Please click on the link below in the comment section to sign up for a demo with Track AI.
What if your insurance sales conversations could work harder for you? Meet Track, your AI-powered conversation intelligence partner. Track automatically captures and analyzes every customer interaction, providing instant call summaries, risk analysis, and AI-driven coaching insights. Say goodbye to manual note-taking and hello to more selling time. Track handles the admin work while you handle the revenue. Fully integrated with your favorite platforms. Plus, get custom AI analysis tailored to your unique business needs. Transform your sales team's performance with Track. Visit track.ai today.
Click the link in the description below to schedule a demo with Track today.
So top 4 guests. This is a really difficult one because everybody has been a great guest. We
These are
appreciate
hard
everybody's
questions.
time. Yeah. So Jeff, I'd say obviously after you, we'll take you as number 1.
Oh man, I'm blushing.
So in our first series, we were very lucky to have Gary Shaughnessy. So Gary was the CEO for Zurich right across EMEA. and he does a lot of great work for the Zurich Foundation and raising a lot of money for Parkinson's, and that's really, really inspiring to have him on the podcast. Someone that you might know, Andrew Robinson, CEO of Skyward. We interviewed them he'd taken over Skyward as the CEO, and actually we've interviewed them 4 or 5 times as they've grown, as they've rebranded, and how they're really propelling their rocket ship there at Skyward. So that's been fantastic as well. Dax Craig, I'm sure you know Dax, Pi Insurance. That was a great episode, really interesting business. They've been a super successful company, and we're really looking out at what they've been doing. And then I've got to say the folks at Coverwell as well. So Coverwell, a company that we know really well up in New York, big commercial trucking Insurtech, very, very successful business. And we've been fortunate enough to have a number of their leaders on the show as well. So that's just a few, but we've had 200 episodes, I think, now. So there's been a few to choose from.
So I'm gonna keep on dancing with the questions. Tell us the difference. Well, is there a difference of Insurtech scene in the UK versus US? Is there anything specific stand out to you?
That's a great question. I think in terms of innovation, I think the UK is just as innovative, if not more so actually, than in the US. And we certainly see the insurance industry as a whole is probably a little bit more dynamic and has probably progressed a little bit more than what we see in the United States, which is interesting, to say the least. I think it's a different market in the US, particularly for the insurtechs who are looking to enable the insurance industry, to partner with the insurance industry. The UK and in Europe, you've got these huge conglomerate insurance businesses, these massive organizations, enterprise level. But in the States, you've just got so many mid-market carriers, a lot of mid-market brokerages of good size and are doing some really good things, and they can actually leverage the technology a lot quicker than some of these big global organizations. So I think from a customer perspective for the insurtechs, I think there's more fertile ground in the US. I think there's bigger opportunity, so to speak. But then I think as well in the UK, that more mature market, some of those customers are more ready to buy and are more ready to adapt that technology into their business, whereas sometimes the US counterparts are that little bit further behind. So although the technology might be there, these companies are not quite ready to really feel the benefit of it.
One word you said stuck out to me was more mature market. I wonder if more mature market sets in more, the word stagnant, but if people are more corporate structure versus startup world is more chaos, builders are more chaos, and it's like the opposite of structure, corporate, and mature, What do you think the scene is like as far as like young people going into the startup world versus going to the insurance world? So if you are a young professional today and you talk to a lot of people who are smart, intelligent, want to move up for your search, right? So you're talking to your candidates, they want to go to directors, VP roles. And when they have to choose between go with a startup founder, startup companies versus like established, big name, big brand, UK, have some of the biggest brands in the world. Audience. I want to share this crazy stats with you. I saw somewhere. I can't remember where, but I'm gonna go find it. There are 400,000 people work in London in the insurtech industry. There are 87 million people around the world work for those companies. Those 400,000 people are part of. So London has established itself as a very old insurance market, and they have a lot of very established insurance companies around the world. How does somebody that you take on say, you know what, I want the safe, protected route, and versus going to take on shares, take on the unknown, take on potential bigger leadership role in the startup world?
I think there's different motivators for different people. There's a lot of very good, young, talented people who really enjoy the traditional world. They've seen people go before them who have built fantastic careers and great wealth for themselves in those legacy organizations. I do think there are also a lot of great people who have reached a certain milestone in their career journey and want something more entrepreneurial, and they have a passion and a real fire in their belly for doing something better than what's being done at the moment. And I think those are the people that the insurtechs really need to focus on, because those are the people that will give up, the nice chunky salary, the nice benefits, the job for life that you can have at a legacy insurance business, and give all that up. They might have a mortgage to pay for, maybe a young family, and they're going to dive in head first. I think they're the people that the insurtech world has got to go after and do everything they can to secure those people. I think too often we see candidates who are very skilled practitioners, they're high achievers, they're going places. But if their heart and their motivation's not in really making a difference, then a small company environment's not right for them, because they've got too many other options and they want the safety blanket. And we see that sometimes when we really test a candidate. Are you going to give up this job, really well paid? And they'll say, yeah, I'll do that. And yeah, if you chuck me some stock, and I'll benefit on the upside, but also I want the guaranteed salary as well that I'm on at the moment. They want the best of both worlds. That those guys are the ones who really don't quite believe in the mission, or they don't believe in the passion of that insurtech. And that's fine, but they're just not going to be the super people who are going to go to those extraordinary lengths that an insurtech needs in order to be successful. And I think that's really key, to really find out what those motivators are early on in the interview stage, before bringing those people in. And it can be quite tempting because they'll have a great resume. They might have been at some of the best legacy companies in the world, and they might be very, very tech focused and digital focused. But I think you've got to really find out what motivates them and what their passion is before making that move. I think that's really key.
When there's a stats out there, right? In the US, the next 2 years, we're going to lose 500,000 people to retirement, senior leaderships, and just all roles, right? Actually, I take that back. Senior leadership, middle management, frontline, 30, 40-year employees, which is like the best one, right? They have decades and decades of knowledge and experience. And some of the people I know, who I have been on their podcast, Sean Reeves, and a couple other executive search people, they're busier than ever here in the US. Is UK going through the same thing?
Not to the same extent as the US. There are a lot of people retiring in the UK, but the UK market's very different. It's been there's been an awful lot of M&A activity, similar to the US, I suppose, but the aggregation of the insurance industry in the UK means there's just much less companies, and they've been brought in together, and there's not the same challenge that you've got there in the US. That US market, like I said earlier, that mid-market is such a big market. You've got some really great companies with some great leaders, but a lot of them are nearing the end of their tenure, and there's a real challenge as to how to bring people through and succeed those people in the US. So I'd say it's a challenge, but not like what we're seeing in the US.
So shout out to a buddy of mine, Michael Ways. I had him on the podcast, and now made me remember to invite him to the Industry Voice. So Michael and I were on this podcast. We're chatting about the future growth of Middle East, the future growth of Africa, the future growth of Central and Latin America. Like when they want talent, they're going to homegrown a lot, but at the same time that US and UK market have some of the most established, experienced, leaders in the insurance world, right? So the last couple of centuries could have been Swiss Re or Chubb or AIG. But next couple of centuries, we don't know, right? Is there going to be Saudi Re, Dubai Re, right? Um, who do you guys see yourself losing your talent to? Or let me reframe the question again. What are the countries that's up and coming that's right now searching after the talent coming from London, UK?
Well, India and China are two obvious ones. We see a lot of European businesses and a lot of US businesses. A lot of their so-called back office is based out in those countries already. But we're seeing now actuaries, we're seeing pricing analysts, we're seeing underwriters, we're seeing really highly skilled and technical people being based out there in India and China and these places. I think for the moment, the opportunity to work with these US and European businesses is great for them, and there's a real opportunity in their career. Yeah, but sooner or later, some of these insurance businesses over there are going to start scaling and growing their own markets and tapping into that talent as well. So as long as they can compete and they can compete with the US, UK for salaries and for benefits and everything else that these Western countries bring to those organizations, there's going to be some huge insurance businesses. I'm sure there's an insurance company in China who has over 1 million people who work for it. Over 1 million people at one company in China. So, there'll be other companies like that, and these guys are going to be the very brightest data analysts, data scientists, underwriters, users of AI technology. They're going to be serious competition in the future.
That's one thing we never hear, right? We hear how China's competing on solar, on EVs, on the renewable energy battery space. They're trying to compete in the chip space. They're competing in medical supply, drugs space.
Yeah.
We don't hear China competing in the insurance space. Or at least I don't. I mean, is that something you're hearing?
Didn't see it very often. I see bits and pieces in London, but the opportunity out in those markets is massive. But the challenge they've got at the moment is that a lot of people in Asia, in particular, don't buy insurance, especially commercial insurance. They don't have the buyers, the customers there. The market's not quite there yet for them. But I think when it is, when everybody's more used to buying and taking out insurance, that market's going to be there, and those companies going to be moving quickly to get that market share.
Yeah. When that market get there, the growth is scary because the population is what? I mean, between China, India, and Indonesia, that Eastern Asia corridor, it's half the world's population.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. And, a lot of people don't know, like, the rise of Chinese EV manufacturer, the automotive industry. BYD, for example, that's actually Western-backed company, backed by Warren Buffett. And when BYD was rising, they literally hired everybody from Germany, Porsche, BMW, Volkswagen. Like, they went after some of the most brightest minds out of those places. And, I can definitely see like, not just China, but Saudi, Dubai, making a run to grow their own internal insurance organization, especially like I definitely can see them making a run in reinsurance because they have the liquidity, the reserves to play in the battle, right? And also, there's a lot of people in London, UK already live in Dubai. It's like their second home, a lot of ways to do tax purposes. Right? They have a very, very friendly expat tax model, attracting a lot of people from US, I'm sure. And what are you seeing out of that? Are you seeing people growing that segment and then recruiting from your talent pool?
I'm seeing both sides. I'm seeing people relocate to the Middle East. Looks like a great place to live, great lifestyle. some great opportunities, some very well-backed firms as well. But we're also seeing the Middle East come into London more, tap into the London market, something that they want to have more ownership of. So rather than sending it into a Lloyd's broker or, into a Lloyd's syndicate, they're looking to control that process more. And we're working with some businesses who are looking to do that. And I'm sure we'll see more and more of that going forward as well. But yeah, I think similarly to Asia, I think it's a huge opportunity going forward. It's definitely something on the radar of the European firms and the American firms that they've got to be aware of, and will be competition for talent in the future for sure.
Gotcha. What event do you go to increase the eyeballs of your company, for your search company, for executive leaders, and also for your podcast?
Yeah, we go to a few events, and Insurtech Insights actually is the one that we enjoy. You've got an event there in the States in New York, but they also do a London series, a Europe series, so that works well for us. We've been asked by them to be their podcast live at the event, and that's something that we're talking with them about. Outside of that, we're looking at as many sort of industry events where we can go out and meet candidates, meet clients. Sometimes at those big conferences, you're speaking to a lot of salespeople, people all looking to talk about their product or the next best thing. But really, what we look to do is work with people who are either looking to grow their organization from a headcount perspective, or really increase their career, or really to develop their career. And whether that's by making a move themselves or by hiring in teams or people into their organization to make them more successful. So it's not always at the big conferences that you can have those conversations, and we appreciate that. And sometimes it's better where we're meeting people, meeting people regularly for coffee and for drinks, and having those informal conversations.
So stay on that event community theme for a second. Outside of London in Europe, where else would you say have a pretty good insurance community?
We've just launched in Bermuda, so that's been a new area for us 6 months ago. So we have a partner based in Bermuda. He's very well established insurance professional. He's worked at KPMG for a long time, knows the insurance market there inside out, and there's huge insurance, reinsurance community, obviously, in Bermuda. So we're doing more and more over there, and that's hiring local people in Bermuda, but also bringing in people from the US and the UK and Canada onto the island, because it's a really, really great insurance career and insurance opportunity there. We're also seeing Cayman, particularly on life insurance, life reinsurance. Cayman's growing really, really quickly, and we're seeing a lot of interest in bringing people to Cayman Islands. So certainly great opportunities for the future. And then some of the other non-domiciled islands that are used for captives. And obviously we've seen over the last few years the rise of captives, and the popularity of using those as a way of transferring risk. And we're seeing talent flood to those domiciles as well, where they need to be for those board meetings. So yeah, real mixture of places, but we try and focus on Bermuda. We're also looking at Cayman at the moment, in addition to the US and UK.
This is so cool. I have a new subject. Bermuda and Cayman. Why? Why do you explain to our audience who don't know? Why are there a lot of insurance outfits in Bermuda and Caymans? And why does it make sense for somebody who's making high income to be?
Yeah, so Bermuda, we'll start with Bermuda. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to visit, great place to work. And it is a beautiful island. Bermuda has a really high concentration of insurance companies and reinsurance businesses. And a lot of that is due to the regulation environment over there. So there's a lot of different regulatory requirements, which makes it easier to transact insurance and reinsurance than it is in the US or the UK. So on the island, and it's a tiny island, it must be 20 miles squared, something like that. A tiny little place, has hundreds of insurance companies and reinsurance businesses. And actually, we're having a podcast series at the moment talking about the opportunities of working there. And a lot of the guests, people who've moved there, have been there for in excess of 20 years, said it's like having a global career, but in a local town environment. So it's very much a local town feel. A lot of people on boats, a lot of people enjoying the outside, the countryside, the beaches, having quite a relaxed lifestyle, but also doing very, very high value, high quality insurance work and building a really professional career there. So you can get the best of both worlds. The slight challenge that people have though is that there's not a lot to do on the island in terms of other industries. So outside of tourism and some other industries, you're looking at the partner of the person who's moving there. Are they going to be able to get a job? Are they going to be able to work there? Are they going to be happy if, if maybe if they've got kids and the kids are at school, is there going to be much to do on the island? It's not like New York City where you've got 24/7 Deliveroo and all the amenities of living in a large city. Those things just don't exist. So it's not right for everybody. I think that's very important to say. But yeah, I think if you want to live in a beautiful location and have a very high quality insurance career with lots of opportunities, lots of networking, it's a great place to be. And Cayman is very similar. I mean, Cayman traditionally is more banking, financial services, tax benefits of being based there, but certainly the life reinsurance industry over there is booming. And it's just a question of them of trying to get as many actuaries and accountants over to those islands as quickly as possible, but that takes time.
While we are talking, I put myself on mute so you don't hear my mouse click. I did a
Yeah.
search.
Yeah.
Guess the percentage of people, well, the number of people who are in the insurance industry live in Bermuda, a 20-mile island. Take a guess.
So I think on the island, about 25% of people work in insurance, reinsurance. Would that be right?
3,600 search results on LinkedIn.
Out of 30,000 people, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
And Cayman, 1,400. Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. So my hometown in the UK is a place called Eastbourne, which I think it's a tiny town and it probably has 20 people who work in insurance out of 100,000. And in Bermuda, it's 30,000 and yeah, several thousand people work in insurance and reinsurance. So yeah, if that's your market, if you're selling to those people, if those are your potential customers, then I suggest getting out there because the tax benefits are great as well. There's 0% income tax for UK and Canadian citizens. Unfortunately, US, you're taxed on your global income, aren't you, as a US resident? But once you become a citizen over there and tax is very low, very high cost of living. No, I mean it's a small island and there's a lot of money rolling around there, so you can imagine demand for housing is very, very high and very expensive. But very, very good place to network. And we always laugh when my wife and I, when we fly over to Bermuda, there's one flight a day from the UK over to Bermuda, and everybody on the flight is in insurance or reinsurance. You normally bump into people on the flight, or you see these Insurtech guys going over, planning their pitch decks that they're going to be rolling out to all their meetings that they've got over there. So just even on the flights themselves, there's networking opportunities.
No, I think it would be a great idea if we both did a Bermuda trip together. We can bring the family, let them hang out, and then we just do like a couple of series of podcasts over there together. I have a US following market, you have a UK, Europe. That'll be kind of cool.
Let's do it.
All right, we got to figure out dates and when.
Yeah, not in the storm season, that's for sure.
Yeah, that bring more clicks. We're live. Man, that's so cool. So now you're helping people relocating to islands. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but for the people who want it, it's just an amazing opportunity. And people stay on the island 20, 30 years and get involved in the island. It's not a expat lifestyle. People really integrate into the local community, and the whole community together is very insurance and reinsurance central, during the week, Monday to Friday. But outside of that, there's a lot going on in the communities. There's a lot of sport at the weekends. There's a lot of integration. And I think it's just a great atmosphere and a great place to be. I should work for their tourist board, I think.
Yeah. I was just thinking like in my next lifetime, here's my career goals.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Is there any other island that's similar in the insurance world, like Cayman, like Bermuda?
There's a couple. There's in the UK, there's a couple of offshore islands. So Isle of Man, Guernsey, Jersey, very nice places. A lot of insurance businesses based there, reinsurance companies based there, but it's not quite the same in terms of weather and yeah, the beauty of somewhere like Bermuda. Very nice places, but not quite the same.
This is one of the very few podcast episodes where I am scrolling around and looking at maps all day. Isle of Man, where is
Places to
Isle?
base your podcast from. Yeah, I like it.
What's in store for Nick for 2025?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Jeff? Didn't quite catch you there.
Yeah. What's in store for Nick in 2025?
Growth. Yeah, both on a personal level, but also the business. We've expanded last year. We hired in Bermuda. We've got a Bermuda practice now. We've got an Insurtech leader working from Colorado. We've got a really experienced professional based in New York now, but we're looking to grow much further across the US. So we're looking either for really experienced quality recruiters, headhunters to come and join us, or industry professionals. So we work with quite a few insurance executives who have built a lot of valuable contacts, connections, relationships across their career, and we help them set up their own executive search practice. So they can put the people together. They know the best underwriters, they know the best brokers, they know the best claims people. And we have a way that we can help them build a practice and a business for themselves using insurance search and all the infrastructure and branding that we have. So, yeah, we're looking for a lot more opportunities. And certainly, if people are fed up with the grind, the executive grind, or would like to start something for themselves, maybe an insurance practice, a brokerage, a carrier, but are finding that it's just too difficult, or you just need too much in terms of capital, or the market's just not quite buoyant enough to launch something, then highly recommend starting an executive search practice and speaking to us about that. Because if you know insurance and you know underwriting and you know broking, you know what a great leader looks like, then you can add a lot of value to the clients that we work with. And that's why we have a model that really puts together insurance executives with our insurance clients so they can advise them and they can say, look, I've sat in your shoes. I've been trying to hire a chief underwriting officer myself 10 years ago. I know exactly the pain you feel. I know the type of person you're looking for. We can go and do that for you. So we're looking to grow in a big way across the US. So yeah, would welcome any of your listeners, if you're thinking it or have ever thought about starting a career in recruitment, to give me a shout.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and send you the intake form after this and make sure that I have all your information, and so our audience can get in touch with you and follow you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. That would be great. And yeah, I might hear from you wanting to start our business up in Cayman for us, maybe.
I'm down for that.
You're well connected, Jeff. You know everybody in the insurtech scene, I'm sure. I'm sure you do a great job.
Not everybody. Every day I meet someone new. It's pretty exciting still.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. Well, Nick, it's great to have you on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to the next one we do together, either in Cayman or Bermuda. And I hope you have an amazing end of the year to close out the year strong.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, look forward to connecting again and having you on the Insurance Coffeehouse podcast would be fantastic. So yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for all you do for the InsurTech community as well. Now I know a lot of people who follow your postings, and it's a really great way of finding out information and what you're learning, what you're seeing. It's great for the rest of the market to be able to see that. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nick. Have a good one.